So we are now recording, I think. Let's see. Yes, we are, because we are recording. All right, so estamos grabando la reunión. So during this presentation, we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about how students are identified for the ESOL program. We're going to talk about the parent portal, how parents are notified about students being in the ESOL program. We're going to talk about accommodations for the program and what students should be able to do at different levels, and resources for parents and ways parents can support students at home. So one question we get from a lot of students is, why am I in the ESOL program? Sorry, I almost switched to Spanish there. I'm going to stay in English. And I learned a statistic a couple of days ago. Over 50% of students in the ESOL program in the county, over 50% were born in the United States. So we're going to find out more about why that might be. And we also have some other terms that we use for ESOL. As you can see on the screen, ESOL means English to speakers of other languages. We also use the terms ELL, or English language learners, or EL, English learners, or also multilingual learners. You'll hear those terms used to mean basically the same thing. I also want to say I'm not officially part of the ESOL department in Lilburn Middle School, but I feel like we have the best ESOL department in the world. I really do. We just do a great job, and I'm very proud to work at Lilburn Middle School for a lot of reasons, and the ESOL department is one of those. So who am I? My name is Michael Doyne, and I am the Parent Instructional Coordinator. And my email address is on the screen. And we also are joined by several other people today. I wanted to make sure to introduce. We have Mrs. Washington in the presentation today, and she is here as support for us. Thank you, Ms. Washington, for being with us. We also have our Vietnamese interpreter, Ms. Nguyen, and our Spanish interpreter, Ms. Kroll. I'm scrolling down to see if there was anybody else that may be here, other than our wonderful parents. Just really glad to see our parents in this meeting. Okay, so what is the purpose of the ESOL program? So the purpose of the ESOL program is, there are two main purposes. One, to increase students' academic English language proficiency, to teach, and also to increase students' academic content area achievement. English language proficiency and content area achievement. Content area would be social studies, science, math. So our goal is to teach grade level appropriate academic English language knowledge and skills necessary to do the following things: to narrate, inform, explain, argue in discipline-specific areas. Also, our goal is to teach students the English that is necessary to understand and become proficient in the standards. And we want to do two main things here. We want to ensure that our English learners participate meaningfully, meaning they're not just there and they can just get a little bit of what we want them to learn, but it's a meaningful educational experience for them. And also equally in our core standards, in our core standards-based educational programs. And to also remove any language or non-academic barriers to learning in school. We want them to be able to learn to the fullest potential possible. Okay, so how is it determined that students qualify for for the ESOL program. First, on the online registration, when students are enrolled online, when you first did the online registration to enroll your students in school, there were questions that were asked, and these are language background questions when the student initially enrolled in a United States school. The system will automatically lock out the language questions each year. If you do a online registration, perhaps the next year, you won't have to answer all of these questions. It's only the first time that you register. If you can, it's a little hard to see, but if you select a language other than English in any of these questions, for example, it says, which language does your child frequently most speak at home? Which language do adults in your home most frequently use when speaking with your child? And in which language do you prefer to receive information about this student? So if any language other than English is selected there, we will check, we will screen, we will evaluate your child for the ESOL program. So here is what the evaluation is. Here's what the evaluation is done with the kindergarten students. WIDA is WIDA is the organization that supports the ESOL program. It's a national organization. We use these screeners to determine if a child is eligible for ESOL services. It is given to students one time when they first enroll in a U.S. school where the primary home language is other than English. The WIDA screener for kindergarten is given on paper and pencil. And it helps identify students. It helps determine the English proficiency of the students. And here, since we're in middle school here is what the evaluation for students from grades 1 to 12 involves. On their screener, and many of your students would have seen this, if not all of them, they work at their own pace. So it's online versus pencil and paper for kindergarten students. So they'll go through reading, speaking, and writing tests in that order. Okay, so now the student has been screened and determined to be in the well, here, before I say that, here is what the entrance procedure is for our English learners. When they take the test, it's called the access test, and an overall score of less than 5.0 when they take the test qualifies a student for ESOL services. Per federal requirements, parents must be notified of the student's identification for language services within 30 days of the beginning of the school year. We have many students that enroll throughout the school year. For a newly enrolled student who is identified after the beginning of the school year, the notification must be made within 2 weeks of the student being placed in language services. So at some point, you should have been informed of your child's eligibility for the ESOL program. It may have been a long time ago that you received that notification. And here is the letter that you probably received. The purpose of the letter is to notify that your child has been identified as an English learner based on the test of English language proficiency and of other services provided by our school. and I say this with great confidence, our language instruction program and services are effective, highly effective, I would add, in increasing the English and academic skills of students. We will exit your child from the ESOL language program when he or she reaches the established level of English proficiency. So we do have coming up the access tests that will be happening early in the semester. And that determines if your child is still eligible for ESOL services. So we will be talking more about the access test early next semester to help you and your child prepare for that test. Okay. I wonder if everybody here has access to the parent portal. The parent portal is a great tool, and I'm going to put the link for the parent portal in the chat right now. And I do see some messages in the chat. Okay, I do see, I'm looking in the chat, I see several messages. People are asking to listen in Spanish. So it looks like some people logged in. So let me just address that really quickly. So, si quiere escuchar esta reunión en español, tenemos una intérprete, Ms. Crow, que nos está ayudando. Solo necesita buscar el icono del mundo en su pantalla y después va a poder escuchar la reunión en español. Lamento que si ha perdido algo de esta reunión, pero podríamos hablar después para asegurar que entendió todo. So here is the link for the parent portal. And the parent portal serves several purposes. For one, you can see the notification letter about your child's eligibility for the English language services. You can also see your child's access test score reports and other score reports from other tests. You can see your child's schedule. You can see other school communications, messages that may have been sent from the school or from your child's teacher. You can also check your child's grades and other great information that's found on the parent portal. If you need help accessing the parent portal, please let me know. I want to make sure everybody has access to the parent portal. Okay. When learning a new language, there are two different types of language acquisition. First, there is something called the basic interpersonal communication skills. That's going to be that conversational fluency. The social language, the language that they'll speak during the day. The students will speak with their friends, maybe with family members. And then there's something called the cognitive academic language proficiency. This is what is commonly known as school language. And you can see the different level of, the different quantity of words that students are learning at each level. So they're learning between 1,000 and 3,000 words for that social language. And for the cognitive academic language, it's going to be starting at 6,000 up to 7,000 and more. So an example for the social language might be, for you, in your case, as a parent, you might be able to tell the office staff that you need to check out your child from school, but you might have difficulty explaining the water cycle in English. The social skills, the social language is something that they can learn perhaps out in the community, but the academic language is something that they're going to mainly learn at school and with your support at home with some resources we're going to mention here shortly. So one important point here is that a lot of our students have learned the content in their home language. We don't want them to forget their home language. In fact, using their home language can be a great advantage for them. So when they're learning a concept, say about the water cycle, they do not need to learn the water cycle all over again. They just need to learn the words in English to help them explain what the water cycle is. All right, so how do we determine what level the students are learning? These are the levels of proficiency.
Những cái này là chương cho hiểu biết.
Okay, let's see. Ms. Nguyen, is everything okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Maybe I need to do something with the interpretation.
Unmute is you've unmuted me. That's good.
Miss
Okay.
Joy, she was on mute, and I just figured out how to unmute her. So I think you're good to go.
Okay, thank you both. Okay. All right. So we're talking about the different levels of proficiency.
Dạ, vậy là đang nói về những cái mức của chuẩn chạc.
All right.
Mr. Joy, she disconnected from the call, and maybe whatever you did to give her separate audio also disconnected. So I readmitted her, but now we can hear her translation in the main chat.
Yes, ma'am. I think I've just fixed that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for helping me with that. All right. So here we have the different criteria for performance indicators. You can see the linguistic complexity, vocabulary usage, and language control. And the student's English proficiency level will determine their eligibility for ESOL services, as well as how much support they need. As students gain proficiency in English, they will need less support and should exit ESOL services successfully. If you look at the levels there, we've got levels 1 through 6. Levels 1 and 2 will need support and interventions to be successful. Levels 3 will need support and possibly interventions, depending on what level they are on the continuum. Levels 4 would probably most likely be consultative, meaning they may need little to no support. And level 5s will probably most likely be exited from the program. Okay. This chart, I know it looks a little different in Spanish as it does in English, but just wanted to highlight some of these terms here. So this shows what students at each level should be able to do between levels 1 through 6. An example we might use is the stages of a butterfly. So at level 1, if we're looking at speaking, they might be able to name the stages of a butterfly. Just simple identifying or naming. But if we go up to levels 4 and 5, we're looking at things like elaborating, analyzing. They should be able to explain in much greater depth the stages of a butterfly. Okay, language instruction. So when teaching these standards, and here you'll see AKS. If you didn't know, AKS is the Academic Knowledge and Skills. It is the curriculum of Gwinnett County Public Schools. In teaching the standards, the ESOL teacher selects representative, meaning a certain selection of AKS from each content to incorporate into their instruction. In the language skills, you've got listening, you've got speaking, reading, writing. Each of those are applicable across all of the content areas. So we need them to be able to listen, to speak, to read, and to write in all content areas. So what does an ESOL do to support instruction? So an ESOL teacher might preview vocabulary. Sometimes the vocabulary can be sticking point for some of our students. So to help students master the language and master the content, the ESOL teacher might show an example, might show images of what that vocabulary word is. They also might simplify languages. For example, if the sentence in science and we're talking about weather or climate, the teacher, the term in the class might say, the sentence in the class might say, low precipitation in areas can cause drought. Low precipitation in areas can cause drought. So precipitation is a pretty long word, and it might take students a little bit longer to learn that. But we can use a similar word instead of precipitation. The ESOL teachers might use the word rain. So they might say little rain instead of low precipitation. They might say little rain. Also, the ESOL teachers might provide extra time for our ESOL students. Might provide cooperative learning opportunities where they can learn side by side with another student or more than one student to help them work together to solve problems and to understand the material. Okay, in teaching other content areas, so math and science and social studies, the classroom teacher does focus their instruction on the AKS. So they are focusing on the standards for that content area, while also considering the language proficiency of the students. So, for example, if a teacher might, the content area teacher might be asking their students to analyze and interpret. Analyzing and interpreting is a little more advanced than some of our level 1s or 2s might be able to do initially. So instead of asking them to analyze or interpret, we might be asking students to describe or state, describe or identify. So it's a little more manageable for our students at the lower levels. And you can see the classroom on the screen. You can see that the diagram shows that we use those English language proficiency plans, those ELPs, to help our students access the content that is required at their grade level. Okay, so this is that English learner proficiency plan known as the ELP. You may have seen this before. I hope you've seen this before. Once a student is found eligible for ESOL services, they are placed with the appropriate teachers. Some of our students might be in a class for level 1s and 2s. Some of our ESOL students might be placed with other students of higher levels of English proficiency. So this ELP, this proficiency plan, is used by our teachers to document students' language progress. And we want you to ask teachers about how they are supporting your child with the content and ask to see their English learner proficiency plan. Ask to see those ELPs so you really know how they're doing with their English language proficiency. We also have a monitoring form. This monitoring form is for students who have recently exited the program. So the students that have recently exited the ESOL program are still entitled to continue to receive support as they transition to being fully proficient with their English language skills. So you may have seen the monitoring form. Okay. So the grading policy. There is a grading policy for Gwinnett County in place, which allows teachers to provide a modified assignment to base their grades on. So on your child's report cards in the past, or the ones coming up in, say, January, you may see a comment on the report card that says the grade is based on the student's English language proficiency. So their assignments may have been differentiated by the teachers. So they may be getting a different assignment than some of their peers based on their English level. Okay, so now we can talk about some of the resources available for you to support your child. So you may have heard of Imagine Learning. Federal funds, such as through our Title III and Title I programs, are used to provide individual site licenses for the schools. So we are able to purchase licenses or subscriptions to these programs because we receive federal funding to do that. So students have an opportunity to use this language and literacy program at school or at home. So language and literacy is the only personalized learning program that accelerates both literacy skills and English language development for students in grades pre-K through 6th grade. And they can access this program either through their ESOL e-class page or directly through the Imagine Learning website. You've also heard us talk about Achieve 3000 if you've received the messages or came to our APTT programs. So Achieve 3000 can be a little more challenging for some of our students based on their English levels. However, there is a translation feature on the Achieve 3000 platform, which can help them access the reading passages. Because we have said that we do want our students practicing in both Imagine Learning and Achieve 3000 at home. Here are some more resources. When you're working with your child, the most important thing to remember is to develop skills in your home language at home, because we know that the skills that they're learning in their home language, the language skills that they're learning in their home language, do transfer, meaning that whatever skills they learn in their home language, whether it's Spanish or Vietnamese or whatever language, if they learn those skills, those language ability skills, they will also be able to transfer those skills to English. So there are quite a few resources, and I'm going to put these in the chat as well. So we've got the Coloring Colorado, reading tip sheets for parents, Coloring on the Go, which is an application, Reading Rockets, and Unite for Literacy. So I'm going to put these in the chat so you can access these at home. Actually, I'm going to put all of these all of these links in the chat. I see some messages. Okay, I see somebody asking about their ID. Somebody's asking about an ID in the chat. I think they're talking about their maybe their parent portal login. Their ID, your ID for the parent portal will be your email address. So here are a bunch of links, and I'll send this out in an email as well, because these are a lot of links here. These are the resources that you can use to help support your child at home. And here are some more ways that you can support your child. And there's some links. I know it's hard to see possibly on your screen there, but I have put the links in the chat. So learning together at home is one, and helping your child learn to read. Okay, this page is 20 ways you can help your children succeed at school. And I did put the link to this in the chat as well. But, and these are all great. I don't think I want to read all 20, but I do want to highlight a few here. So one way to help your child be successful at school is to develop a partnership with your child's teachers. because they've been working with your child now for almost a half of a year, and so they really should know your child's abilities at this point, and you can get specific suggestions from them. So we want you to meet your child's teacher at some point if you've not already done so. Get to know who's who at your school. You've met me, you've met Miss Washington, our ESOL special education, ESOL and special education assistant principal. Attend those parent-teacher conferences. Those are coming up again in March, and we'll also have our APTT session again in February. Gonna jump down to finding out how your child is doing. So support your child academically. So check the parent portal. Making sure that homework gets done. I want to go down to support your child's learning at home. So demonstrating that positive attitude about education. Yes, they can do it. Sí se puede. And I think we all as educators believe all students are capable of achieving some very high potential achievement. So yes, they can do it. And we appreciate when you have that attitude at home as well. And I think your presence in this meeting shows how much you do value your child's education. So we appreciate that. Reading, of course, is important. Encourage your child to read and use the library. Our library is wonderful. Also, the public library has many, many resources. So we do have, that completes the formal part of our presentation. I do need you to fill out the evaluation. I'm going to put the evaluation in the chat right now. And before you do log out, please fill out the evaluation of this presentation. I also will be sharing the recording of the presentation in the parent newsletter later this weekend. So at this time, it'll be a good time to ask some questions. I think I will unmute everybody, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop share. Okay, so now I'm going to unmute or allow people to unmute. Okay, you may all unmute if you would like. I'm going to turn off the interpretation as well. All right, so now would be a good time for any questions that people have. Ahora va a ser un buen momento para preguntar cualquier pregunta que tiene. And I think we still have our Vietnamese and a Spanish interpreter here. Yeah, Miss Kroll, Miss Nguyen, and I see Miss Washington there. So what questions do people have? ¿Qué preguntas hay?
Quý vị có câu hỏi gì nè?
All right, I see a question from Miss Nancy. If you can help me, my daughter missed some classes for health. I sent in the excuse and I received a notification about her absence. So Nancy, Miss Nancy, señor Nancy, si me podría mandar el nombre de su hija en un mensaje privado y podría investigar eso. So if you could, Miss Nancy, if you could send me a private message with your daughter's name, and I'll look into the attendance question. All right. Feel free. I was dead. So if you'd like to unmute and si quiere quitar su muro, podría preguntar cualquier cosa sobre la escuela. Estamos aquí. Ok. Señora Sierra, ok. Entonces, ok, está bien. Podríamos hablar acerca del comportamiento de su hija fuera de esta reunión. Con gusto. Estoy tomando notas. I'm taking notes.
Quisiera saber el comportamiento de Alejandro.
Ok, ok. Con gusto. Déjame investigar eso. Ms. Washington, while I see you're there, if you have anything you would like to add, let's see. I see. Okay, I'm getting some questions here, but I don't know if you want me to try to answer these questions, Ms. Washington, or if you wanted to add something right now.
Well, I didn't hear a question yet, but
Okay.
thank you for presenting. You did a wonderful job in sharing that information with parents, and we can go through the questions. And if you need me, I'm right here.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Washington. Okay, la directora asistente está aquí para ayudarnos. Si tenemos pregunta para ella. All right, so let's see. So, okay, entonces déjame investigar eso, señora Vanessa, acerca de Matthew.
¿Qué quería?
Okay. Estoy tomando notas. Okay. All right. So, señora Fermina, I think for okay, so señora Fermina está diciendo que para avanzar en su lectura es buena opción para dejándole como tareas una lección para que ellos practiquen sus lecturas en inglés. So she's asking. So I think for a good way for the children to advance with their reading, it's a great option. It's a good option to give them homework, a lesson for homework, so that they can practice their English, their reading in English. Sí, totalmente de acuerdo. Ellos tienen este programa de Achieve 3000. Creo que usted vino a la reunión en septiembre. Y eso es un programa donde puede practicar su lectura en inglés. Pero también siempre animamos a los niños para leer libros en la casa también. So we definitely encourage the students we want the students to practice on Achieve 3000, and Imagine Learning will achieve a lot of the same goals. And we also always encourage them to read books at home. Gracias, señora Fermina. Mariano Vargas, okay. Okay, comportamiento de Denise. Okay, voy a investigar eso, gracias. Sí. Vale, okay. Estoy tomando notas.
Me gustaría saber cómo está Matthew Montes con sus clases, ya que por alguna razón yo no puedo checar en el portal de padres cómo él está en las clases.
Okay, con gusto. I'll check on that for you and make sure you can have access to the parent portal. Y voy a ayudarle a usted para tener acceso al portal de padres y cómo va en sus clases, Matthew. All right.
Muchas gracias, Mr. Doy.
De nada, eso a usted. Okay, so comportamiento de Yastri, okay. Me encanta que están preocupados acerca del comportamiento, porque sí necesitamos la ayuda de los papás.
Buenas tardes, Mr. Don.
Buenas tardes.
Tengo una consulta en relación a la evaluación del programa ESOL. ¿Cuándo realizan las evaluaciones para ver cómo va avanzando en esos niveles que usted explicó?
Está preguntando cómo va a saber cómo está avanzado en el progreso con su nivel de inglés. ¿Es la pregunta, señora González? ¿Era señora González que preguntó eso? Okay, gracias. So, Ms. Washington, and I think I might know the answer to this. So, mom's wanting to know, how will they know how their child is advancing with their English skills? And they get the reports. I think their access score report, but is there another report? Is that ELP report I think they have access to?
Well, actually, they'll get the access score report. It will be available in the parent portal at the end of the school year. So they typically post those scores around the first or second week of May. The ELP document is not one that they have direct access to, but it can be provided for them if they request it.
Okay. Dice la directora, señor González y todos, que al fin del año va a ser publicados los resultados de la evaluación acceso en su cuenta de padres al fin del año. El formulario, el formulario se llama ELP. No es algo que normalmente proporcionan a los papás, pero es algo si alguien pide este formulario, esta información, podríamos proporcionar eso. Entonces, principalmente es al fin del año va a recibir los resultados de su examen de Access que va a determinar su nivel de inglés, su nivel de progreso en el idioma inglés. A usted. All right, there were some other questions in the chat. Hubo otras preguntas en el chat. Okay. And maybe, Ms. Cole, I should be letting you interpret for this. Quizás, señora Cole, debo dejar que usted haga la interpretación. All right, so Livna Yastribanka, okay. Marvelo quiere saber acerca del comportamiento de Joshua. Okay. Okay. ¿Quién más preguntó algo? Okay. Christian Perez. Okay. Celica. Okay.
Mr. Doing, tengo otra pregunta.
Mm-hmm.
Me gustaría saber qué es lo que tengo que hacer para lo referente a lo de las ausencias de mi hijo Matthew Montes, debido a que, bueno, usted sabe la situación que pasamos con lo de la casa y pues él faltó bastantes días debido a eso y ya después se enfermó y no pudo ir a la escuela también. Y en este tiempo yo no tenía seguro médico para él, no lo pude llevar al médico, no tengo una forma como probar con el médico de que él estaba enfermo, entonces no sé qué tengo yo que hacer en ese caso para que no lo afecte a él.
Okay, gracias por la pregunta. Mom's asking about some absences that her child has had and illness and some insurance questions. So I'll mention about Ms. Kroll is here and she can perhaps help us after the meeting or perhaps tomorrow. Tenemos la señora Kroll que está aquí que nos ayuda con ayuda a la consejera de asistencia y quizás después de la reunión, quizás mañana nos podría aconsejar acerca de qué necesitamos hacer para apoyarle a ustedes con su hijo.
Ok, está bien, Mr. Dunn.
Okay, voy a
Muchas
tomar.
gracias, le agradezco mucho por su ayuda y por siempre estar pendiente, apoyándonos, por todo el apoyo que nos ha dado a mí y a mis hijos.
Con gusto, con gusto. Deseamos lo mejor para nuestra familia. Okay, so
Gracias.
de nada. Okay, so I left it. Okay, ¿a qué número de teléfono se le puede hacer preguntas? Okay, so I will put this in the chat. Voy a poner mi número y otros números también. Okay. Sí. ¿En qué grado está su hijo? Okay. Okay. Mi hija no habla y no entiende el idioma inglés. Okay. So my daughter does not understand English. Okay. So y es la razón que estamos aquí para hablar acerca de eso. Señor Honor es el nombre del dispositivo, que sigue viniendo a la escuela, que intenta en las clases, que practique en los recursos que compartimos hoy. Y sí, ella va a aprender. Solo necesita, para mí, solo necesita traer la actitud que sí se puede, porque sí se puede, sin duda. Okay. Okay, Rosa Ayala, quiere saber cómo eso. Okay, so since I'm getting a lot of homework right now. Estoy recibiendo mucho tarea ahora. Entonces voy a pedir su ayuda de ustedes también. I'm going to ask for your help as well. So one of the great features about the parent portal and also the new application Parent Square is that you can message your child's teachers. You should be able to message your child's teachers. If you do not know how to message your child's teachers, I want to help you with that. Si no sabe cómo mandar mensajes a los maestros de su hijo, necesito ayudarle a ustedes con eso, porque eso va a ser útil para este año y también para los otros años que siguen. So, y también algo bonito con un nuevo programa de Parent Square. Les puede mandar un mensaje en español y va a caer un mensaje en inglés en el lado de los maestros. Entonces se puede meter en la cuenta de Parent Square y voy a poner el enlace ahora en el chat y debe estar funcionando esta aplicación para ustedes. parentsquare.com. Y si no sirve, me avise. parentsquare.com o quizás parentsquare.com. Ok, parentsquare.com. Ok, porque solo soy una persona y tenemos 1,600 estudiantes en la escuela y quisiera ayudar a todos, pero no quiero que pase mucho tiempo sin recibir una respuesta. Entonces, quiero que se metan en esta página o la página de Parent Portal para mandar un mensaje a sus maestros preguntando cómo es el comportamiento de sus niños. Voy a tratar de ayudarle a usted también, pero creo que va a ser más fácil para todos si ustedes mismos le podrían mandar un mensaje a los maestros de sus hijos. And if anybody needed that in English, I think it would be very helpful if you can log into the Parent Square or Parent Portal and send a message to your child's teachers. That would probably be better for everybody. So it's not something that will just help you for this year, but for all of the years your children will be in Gwinnett County Public Schools or whatever school system they are in the country. All right, let me go back to these questions. Okay. Okay, Sandra está preguntando. Jamie, okay. Jamie, ¿cómo va Jamie comportamiento? Okay. Sandra está, mi hijo lleva un nivel de 2.0, me parece que es un nivel bajo. ¿De cuánto tiene que estar su nivel en inglés? Va dejando su clase. So Sandra's asking, my child is at a level 2.0, I believe, and I think it's a low level. So basically, is he failing the class, or what does he need to do to improve? I'm thinking is part of that question too. I don't know. So Sandra, quiero que, como estaba diciendo al otro papá, que sigue viniendo a la escuela, que sigue intentando, que practique en la casa, que utilice los recursos que publicamos hoy y en otros comunicaciones de la escuela.
Este programa le va a facilitar mucho más. En clase ella está aprendiendo según lo que puede interpretar y entender por algunas palabras.
Okay. Señora Bravo, ¿estaba leyendo o es señor Bravo que estaba escribiendo? Okay, so let's see. I just no quiero perder ninguna pregunta. Okay. Emily, okay. ¿Cómo le puedo hacer? Mi hija se llama Emily Sofía. Ok, Emily Sofía creo que empezó la semana pasada. Entonces, que venga a la escuela, que practique en la casa con la computadora. Hay estas aplicaciones, Imagine Learning, Achieve 3000. Y va a estar bien, que practique en la casa. Que está animando a venga a la escuela para estudiar, para enfocarse. Ok, Joshua Reglado. Yes, señor Marvelo, o señora Marvelo, puede preguntar acerca de su niño, pero si es algo confidencial, prefiero hablar fuera de la reunión. So yes, you may ask about Joshua Reglado Pacheco, but if it's something confidential, I would love to talk to you offline about it. Okay. Gracias, señor Rosario. Okay. Quiero saber de José Alexis Reyes. Okay. Okay. José Alexis Reyes. Okay. And I think we're just about at 3 o'clock. So I think we're going to try to end the meeting here just a moment. Muchas gracias a usted, señora Vanessa. ¿Qué puedo hacer para mí? Okay. Si está alguien me está preguntando en un mensaje privado, pero les voy a contestar. Okay. Okay, entonces, oficialmente creo que vamos a cerrar la reunión. Fermina, ¿tiene una pregunta? Tiene su mano levantada. So, Ms. Nguyen, I know you had to leave at 3, and Ms. Kroll did as well. Okay, so Ms. Washington, I definitely appreciate you being here too. So, but if anybody needs to leave, I'll just stay on in case there are any other last lingering questions. Si alguien necesita salir, voy a quedarme un poco para ver si hay otra pregunta que alguien tiene. Si es algo específicamente acerca de su niño, podríamos hablar más tarde. Porque es algo confidencial. So if it's something that's a private question about your child, I prefer to speak outside of this meeting format.
Mr. Doyne, I can hang for a few more moments in case an access question arises, anything about ESOL services. I can hang on for a few more moments just in case.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate it.
Ms. Roy, the Vietnamese interpreter will now disconnect.
Okay, thank you very much for being here, Ms. Nguyen.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
You as well.
Thank you.
Estoy tomando nota. Okay. Okay. ¿Alguien más tiene una pregunta? Anybody else has a question? All right, I did receive, I've got about 12 parents that had questions for me, so I'm going to do my best to get back to you. But maybe in this time I can help anybody try to log onto the parent portal. Gracias, señora Ayala. Gracias, señora Guadalupe. Muy amable. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Doyne, I'm signing off. Thank you, parents, for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Washington, very much. Okay, creo que Grecia quizá tiene una pregunta.
Hi, Mr. Doyne.
Hi, Ms. Grecia.
Yes, I have a question. It's not exactly about ESOL, but now that you're here, about the McClure and Meadow Creek.
Great question.
So I just wanted to double check on the transportation for McClure.
Yes, there is transportation for both Meadow Creek and McClure. The regular school bus will pick them up.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure before I made that choice.
Yes, yes. So there are other schools that I've mentioned in my emails before, like the School of the Arts. Our students are eligible to attend the School of the Arts, but there's not transportation provided. So la señora me está preguntando acerca del transporte. Creo que su niño está en grado 8 y está preguntando si va a seleccionar McClure, si va a tener transporte, y la respuesta es sí. Hay transporte para esas dos escuelas de Meadow Creek y McClure si viven en nuestra área de asistencia. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I see a couple questions here. Okay, si voy a ver acerca del comportamiento, señora Sierra, pero repito, si le podría mandar un mensaje a su maestro principal, eso le va a ayudar a usted y a mí, para ser honesto también. Pero voy a ayudarle. You're welcome. Okay, disculpe, mi niño dijo que mañana voy a tener una reunión. So Senora Fermina, she's asking about, she's going to have a meeting at school. She doesn't know if it's an individual meeting or a general meeting. Porque mencionamos en los anuncios ayer que íbamos a tener esta reunión ahora. Pero no estoy muy seguro, señora Fermina, acerca de una reunión, pero podría investigar eso. Okay, ¿alguna pregunta más? Another question that anybody has? So please make sure you filled out that survey for us. That lets us know how we did or how I did, so I can try to improve what we're doing for families going forward. De nada. Y si no ha tomado el tiempo para rellenar la encuesta, si me podría hacer el favor para que sepamos nosotros cómo estamos haciendo para servirle a los papás en estos tipos de reuniones. Okay, so I guess maybe put a countdown, maybe 20 seconds. Falta 20 segundos para cerrar la reunión y voy a estar haciendo mi tarea después. I'll be working on my homework after this. Okay, ¿alguien más? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Gracias a ustedes por su colaboración, por su tiempo invalioso. Okay. Me avise si necesita algo más de mi parte. Let me know if you need anything from my part. Okay. Que tenga una linda tarde. Have a wonderful afternoon.